What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Gamescript. We're looking at Monday Night Football between the San Francisco 49ers and the Carolina Panthers. And we have a surging Panthers versus a recovering San Francisco 49ers. And it should be a pretty good game. And I'm going to get into it right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at PumaCom here with Heat Seeker Sports, and you're watching Gamescript. We're looking at the San Francisco 49ers versus the Carolina Panthers. We got a 48.5-point total for Monday Night Football with San Francisco as 7-point favorites in this one. The Carolina Panthers have been playing a lot better than they have in previous years this season, and they're actually potentially in contention for first place in their division. And the San Francisco 49ers at the beginning of the season looked like they were going to have the easiest schedule for strength of schedule for the entire NFL this year, but they've been hit with a ton of injuries, and they're just now recovering, and we're finally getting to see the majority of the team on the field all at once. We're missing Brandon Aiyuk still. There's a lot of drama going on with Brandon Aiyuk. Apparently, they voided his contract. He wasn't showing up to the facilities or practices or a lot of stuff going on there. And all of a sudden, Brandon Aiyuk is having his contract voided, and he's likely to be released. But obviously, we have not seen him all season. So I'm going to get into this game here in a second. Make sure to hit that like button. Get me to 70 likes, and I can put my favorite picks. I've been putting them in the SportNuggets website. I've been putting them in our insights section. I can give you a quick look at how that looks. You guys are going to want to go to my new website, SportNuggets, and sign up for an account over there. It's a free beta preview, so it's not going to cost you anything to sign up for an account. Eventually, we're going to make it like a premium thing, but let me show you guys what we got here. So it's a news aggregate site. We're flooding the zone with news and giving you all sorts of filtering and sorting options so that you can find the specific teams or players or positions that you want to focus on to see if there's anything going on in the world of Nuggets, to see if any matchups stand out or any advantages or injuries are going to benefit or hurt a player. And it's a cool little rabbit hole to go down. You can go down this rabbit hole and do all sorts of like research. And this is how I find a lot of these sneakier plays that you see me talk about on my shows. I like to look at local sources of news and nuggets for teams, and rather than looking at national sources, because you focus on the local sources, you're going to know the team the best. They're going to know all the individual players. They're going to know which players are performing well on the practice squad, which players are performing well in practice, which players are getting the most coach speak, legitimate coach speak. They know the nuances of the coaching staff and stuff like that. So I like to focus on the local sources for these types of news, because if you listen to a lot of the fantasy guys out there, or a lot of the like the national guys out there, a lot of them don't know the nuances of what's being talked about behind the scenes with these players, and they can kind of misinterpret some of this news and nuggets. So it's always good to look at local sources for this, and that's why I've kind of aggregated probably about 700 feeds from across the NFL focused on their individual teams. Each team has probably about 20 sources or so that we're pulling from for our feed. It's going to be podcasts, YouTube, and Twitter mostly, and then some websites. We're going to start adding websites into it. But we have all sorts of engagement that you guys can do on the site. You can write your comments on what you think about a nugget. If you see something that stands out to you, you can come over to the comment section and make a comment about what you think about a particular nugget. And we're going to be doing some stuff where if somebody's active on the site, they're making a lot of good comments or whatever, we can give them a t-shirt, or do some stuff with them, maybe invite them on a show or something like that. I want to see people engaging in this and being active participants in the comments on these nuggets and everything like that. We're also going to have a Discord too, so you can jump in the Discord on top of that, and we can have discussions on player news and showdowns, picks, and all that kind of stuff. But what I did last night is I hit my picks in the insight section. We have a aspect of the site where we have AI kind of doing the headline, creating a summary of what a local source is saying about a player, and a little bit of analysis. We're also gonna have insights on certain nuggets that stand out the most, which are going to be myself and Spread a Stare. We're going to be making our own comments on some of these nuggets and our own analysis. I can show you what I did last night for the Rams game. I'm coming over here. Now, this is like when I tell you guys that I'm going to be doing insights for the picks of the night for these showdown episodes. You go down here to the game in question. Like, I'm going to give you the demo from the Rams game last night. You can click right there on the Rams game, and you can go over here to sort. You can go down to insights. That's the premium feature of the site, or going to be the premium feature of the site. You click on insights, and you can see that I've written insights on several of these players. Quentin Lake and Jamel Dean were out, which were significant for a couple of the players, Davante Adams in particular. If you look at the insight that I wrote on Davante Adams, he was one of the picks. Adams will also benefit from Jamel Dean being ruled out tonight. That puts him as one of my 2 captain options for Sunday night. And of course, Davante Adams ended up going off last night and scoring 2 touchdowns. And I think he was the captain in the millie, or whatever the $15 contest was. And he ended up having a big night. So good call on that captain there. With Matthew Stafford, I liked Stafford a lot, so I put an insight for him. He's being elite against the blitz, and the Bucs are allowing the highest touchdown rate in the league with Jamel Dean off the field. So look for Stafford to throw for multiple touchdowns in tonight's game. That was another one of the picks from last night. I had Cade Otton too. I liked him as another potential captain option, and he busted for us. But the other picks were good. Sean Tucker was another one. He busted too, but we got the Rams side right. Unfortunately, the Bucs, they just didn't have any steam last night, and they didn't really do anything for us. But I'm going to be doing the same thing over here on the San Francisco Carolina game. You can see I've already added a couple insights already. If you come to like a sorting or a filtering, and you notice that it looks weird or it's missing some stuff, you can always go to reset. When you reset, you just click on the SportNuggets icon in the corner, and then you can just kind of start over. You just scroll back over to the game in question. We're looking at San Francisco versus Carolina, so let's click on that. Let's go to sort. Let's check out the insights. And you notice there's an insight for Christian Roseboom and Trayvon Wallace. These are significant injuries on the Carolina side. We get into this analysis here. You can look at Christian Roseboom. He's out. And the insight that I wrote for this one is, him being out along with Trayvon Wallace will significantly improve the matchup for the 49ers in the slot and versus the run, and upgrade the matchups for George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey in particular on Monday night. So you can kind of see those types of insights and those types of nuggets. Make it really easy for you guys. You just have to go to sort, hit the insights, and you can see if there's any players that stand out as having potential upside in the given night, and any news that might affect player matchups and stuff like that. So this is part of the reason why I want to get you guys onto the site to find the picks, as opposed to just putting them in the YouTube comments, is so that you guys can play around on the site and learn how to use it, and learn how to benefit from it. Because ultimately, I want all the people who've been watching and supporting the show to benefit from this as well. And put a lot of work into to creating this site, and to like just building something for helping people out with Showdown, or helping people out with DFS and stuff like that. And also, like to help to help sustain making a living doing this type of content. So check it out, sportnuggets.com. It's a free beta preview, and it's easy to sign up, and it's easy to use the site. All right, so let's go back over to DraftKings. Before I get into it, like I said, hit 70 likes. I'll put my favorite picks in that SportNuggets insights, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. I'm looking for 2,300 subscribers. Only need about 70 to get there, so appreciate your help with that. Now, breaking down this game, like I said at the top, it's a 48.5 point total, which is a pretty good total considering it's Carolina in the game. That gives you an idea of how Carolina has been performing recently. We can take a look at Rico Dowdle just to kind of look at the wins that we see for Carolina. Like, this is not what we're used to seeing with Carolina. They have a winning record. I believe they might be in first place in their division at this point. Let's take a look at that real quick. Let me just double check that. NFL division leaders. All right, so I'm going to take you guys over here. We can take a look. This is going to be important because this is when the games mean a lot more than they do earlier in the season, because we got guys, teams that are in division races. So we got Carolina right now is tied with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just lost to the Rams. Now, if Carolina wins this game against a depleted San Francisco defense, then Carolina is going to be first place in their division. That's going to be a huge deal for Carolina. They've been a laughing stock of the league for the past several years, and now they're finally winning games. They got a good coach. Like the owner, David Tepper, is a jackass, but like the team itself is winning. They got good coaching, and the having some success here in Carolina, and we could see them take first place for the first time in a long time. Is a significant game for Carolina against like I said, like San Francisco's defense has just been decimated. San Francisco just dealing with all sorts of injuries all the time, and it's catching up to their defense now, and they're just going to be vulnerable, and that's going to set things up for a potential shootout in this one. Like maybe a sloppy shootout with the way that Carolina can be vulnerable, and San Francisco is able to put up points, like with your offense at any point. And now on top of that, they have a depleted defense. So if we're looking at Christian McCaffrey, take a look at him first. The Panthers have been giving up 25 DraftKings points a game to the running back position over the last 6 weeks or so. So, they've been more vulnerable against the run. I think they started out the year pretty good against the run, but now they've just kind of reverted back to giving up a lot of fantasy points to running backs. And Christian McCaffrey, with those two injuries that I showed you on the SportNuggets site, those are going to be significant for his matchup. And we could see Christian McCaffrey have another huge game. We see 35, 37, 42. This is an important game for San Francisco too. While I'm at it, I can take you over to San Francisco's record. Yeah, I don't show this type of stuff in the beginning of the year because it's like, who cares? But now that we're getting into the nitty gritty of it, this is when teams start to realize their real stakes of winning games this late in the season. And San Francisco is in a must-win game in order to keep their hopes alive for the playoffs. Basically, there's a lot of 7-4 teams along with San Francisco, so they need to win a game like this. They need to win a bunch of games down the stretch in order to stay relevant. And there's only really, I think there's 7 games left for them. So yeah, so it's going to be. I think they actually no. I think they have 6 games left because it's they have 11 played so far. So they got 6 games left, including tonight on Monday night. So yeah, the San Francisco is in kind of a must win in this one. Seattle's ahead of them by 1 game. The Rams have been on fire. If they want to make the wild card, they're going to have to keep ahead of the Lions and the Packers. And this is like completely unexpected with San Francisco. This coming into the season, they had, like I said, the easiest strength of schedule in the league. It looked like they were going to coast, but then all their players got hurt. Purdy got hurt. Kittle got hurt. Rookie Pearsall got hurt. Jauan Jennings has been playing hurt. And then their entire defense, basically, they lost. So a lot of injuries that San Francisco is dealing with. And, we're going to see Christian McCaffrey probably playing lights out in this one, trying to help them win this game. We go over to Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle's in a matchup where San Francisco is also giving up 25 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. And Dowdle has been, slowed down a little bit recently, but we've seen his upside where he's got these like 200-yard games, 35, 36 DraftKings points, 30 DraftKings points. So he's hit that 30 number on several occasions, and now he has another easier matchup against San Francisco, who's like I said, their defense is decimated, and they lost Fred Warner, they lost Nick Bosa, like all their just best defenders are out, so they're doing what they can to just kind of defend as best they can, but they've been weak against the run, and that's where Rico Dowdle could have a decent game in this one. And he's been getting a lot of targets on top of it. We see 7 targets in his last game. So if they get scripted out a little bit, Dowdle will still be relevant as far as the passing game because he's getting a decent amount of targets on top of his rushing. Brock Purdy is in a matchup where Carolina's only been giving up 16.6 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. So a little bit tougher matchup for Brock Purdy than it is for Bryce Young. But, Purdy's got a lot of upside. And like I said, it's a must-win game for San Francisco. So don't be surprised at home to see Brock Purdy put up a decent game in this one. Ted McMillan, I'm thinking that they're going to be relying on the pass a lot in this game. And Ted McMillan finally had a big game last week with 36 DraftKings points, but kind of showed his upside last week. That game was very competitive, 30-27. We might see like a high-scoring game in this one too, because we have, like I said, a high-powered offense in San Francisco, and San Francisco's defense is very damaged. So we kind of see like a Dallas situation almost, where they can potentially get in these shootouts just because their defense is so bad, but their offense is able to put up points. So we could see Ted McMillan get plenty of usage in this game. On top of that, San Francisco is giving up 20.2 DraftKings points a game to wideouts. They're giving up 19.1 to slot receivers. So keep that in mind with the slot receiver for Carolina. If we're looking down to Bryce Young, Bryce Young, monster game last week, 34 DraftKings points. That's the most I've ever seen out of this guy. He had 26 earlier on in the season. He's facing off against a defense that just is putrid. They've been giving up 24.2 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. So, Bryce Young could easily, put up a good game in this one, given the circumstances I talked about earlier, where it could end up being a shootout type of situation. Bryce Young will be teed up with a good matchup there. Skipping down to George Kittle. Kittle, with those injuries that I talked about at the top of the show to Wallace and Roseman, that's going to set up George Kittle to have a good game. Running down the middle of the field in the slot, he's going to be in the perfect sweet spot for benefiting from those injuries and those matchups. So George Kittle, definitely a captain consideration for us. On top of that, Carolina is giving up 14.3 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. I think I read a nugget from Rich Rebar this week about the tight end matchup against Carolina, and that was that. Okay, Rich Rebar's sharp football analysis says that Carolina is 30th in fantasy points allowed per target to tight ends, 2.16, allowing a league high 9.6 yards per target to the position with a 77% catch rate and a 6.7% touchdown rate, which is all bottom 10 in the league pretty much. So that's going to set up Kittle with a great matchup, and then he's got those injuries on top of it. So Kittle is teed up in this matchup and teed up as a potential captain option. We got Ricky Pearsall. With Pearsall, let me get an idea of. Now, he's not been getting a lot of routes in the slot. I'm going to have to dig in and see who's getting the most routes in the slot. But, I think Kittle gets enough routes in the slot on top of having that tight end matchup in general that, we can take advantage of. But I'll do some more digging on that and figure out which guy is going to have that matchup advantage for us. But I like Ricky Pearsall as well. The Panthers, they're only giving up 15.9 DraftKings points a game to the wideout position. So not the best matchup for Pearsall, but if they get in a shootout, we could see him have a decent game. So I'd keep him in my player pool this week. Let's see what Pearsall's been doing since he got back. Not a whole lot in his last game. He only had 3 targets. Before he got hurt, he had 5 targets, 11 targets, 6 targets, and 7 targets. So we could see him get a boost in targets. But it is a difficult matchup against Carolina's pass defense. So Jauan Jennings, another guy, contract dispute with Jennings that we're dealing with here. Looks like he's probably not going to be with the team next year. A lot of these guys might be checked out mentally on this team. So that's going to set up Carolina, I think, to potentially have be able to pull off an upset here. So don't write off Carolina in this matchup. Hopefully a lot of people are writing off Carolina in this matchup just based on their history, but we might be able to do some Carolina builds that are going to be lower owned. I'm going to have to wait and see what that ownership looks like tomorrow. But once I know that ownership, you guys know it. Like whenever I have all the information, I'm able to put those picks in the comment section, or in this case, in the insight section over on SportNuggets. So make sure to hit that like button, get to 70 likes so I can do that. Xavier Legette is... he had a decent game last week with 18 DraftKings points, 8 targets in that game. He's had a couple big weeks. Legette has that same matchup against the wideout position. He's got matchup giving up 20 DraftKings points a game. He also runs a decent amount in the slot, and San Francisco's giving up 19.1 DraftKings points a game to slot receivers. Jalen Coker would be another guy who benefits from that. Let's take a look at Coker. Coker's way down here. He's at 4K. Coker got 4 targets in each of the last couple weeks. He's had 4 targets a few times. He was hurt for most of the season, but seems like he's kind of getting back in the swing, but has not had any touchdowns yet. Let's go to, let's see, skip past these quarterbacks. All right, let's check out and see what the kickers have been doing. So Matt Gay had a couple weeks over double-digit points earlier in the season. Running into field goal issues again with one of these kickers, but that was in that was with Miami in week 11. Washington at Miami. I guess they just picked Matt Gay up. Let me check and see. Yeah, they signed him to the practice squad on Wednesday. So, yeah, we're looking at a hamstring strain for Pinheiro. So, Gay finds himself on the 49ers now. He was struggling with Washington. They released him. So now the 49ers find themselves with another struggling kicker. So that'll be interesting. So with the kicker situation, San Francisco has not had any luck with kickers, and you can probably guess that they're gonna probably try to go for it on 4th a lot in this game, rather than give it to an unreliable kicker. But we're gonna have to see what how that plays out. But don't be surprised if they give it to they go for it on 4th a lot tomorrow or on Monday night. If we're looking at Ryan Fitzgerald, we see multiple double-digit point weeks. We're seeing him get 3 attempts, 2 attempts, 2 attempts, 3 attempts. No matter how well they move the ball, Bryce Young can always stall it out, and that can set up, kicking opportunities. They should be able to move the ball pretty easily. It's going to be a matter of how well they perform in the red zone, but Ryan Fitzgerald would be in play for me more so than Matt Gay. With the defenses, I'm not really into San Francisco's defense. We can see that they've just been struggling. We had a negative point week against the Rams a couple weeks ago. If we go to the Panthers, D is much cheaper, and the Panthers D actually has a little bit more upside, but I don't want to use either of these defenses this week. Chuba Hubbard, he let's take a look at the snap counts for these guys. Going to go over to Fantasy Pros, take a look at the snap counts. I don't know why it always logs me out, but here, let me get back into this real quick. Get an idea what these running back snap counts look like with San Francisco. Or sorry, with Carolina. Let's see, going to Carolina. Looking at Chuba Hubbard had 19% versus 82% for Rico Dowdle. So Rico Dowdle is basically taking over this backfield. So not a whole lot of opportunity there for Chuba Hubbard anymore. So, barring an injury or something like that, I wouldn't anticipate to see too much out of Chuba Hubbard in this one. Kendrick Bourne, while we're over on this Fantasy Pros, let's take a look at these wide receiver snap counts. I want to get an idea of what Kendrick Bourne is looking like. All right, so Bourne had a 24% snap count last week with Pearsall back. Pearsall had a 75% last week. That's good for him. Jauan Jennings had 75% as well. So Bourne kind of relegated back to the backup role there. Demarcus Robinson had the third most at 49%. So it gives you an idea of the guys who are going to be significant on the 49ers side. Let's take a look at the Panthers while I'm here. Let's see. Panthers, we're looking at Leggett had 55%, McMillan had 86%, and Tremaine had 34%. So Tremaine, I haven't heard that name before, but 34% is pretty significant. Coker had 68% last week. So it gives you an idea of that situation. I want to look at tight ends while I'm here because Carolina's got an interesting tight end situation. Tommy Tremble was at 57, Jatavian Sanders at 48, and Mitchell Evans at 38. So pretty even split there. Tight end committee there too. Let's go ahead and scroll down to Brian Robinson. He had 8 attempts last week. He's been getting a little bit more attempts. Maybe they're trying to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, but hasn't done anything with those attempts. So not really interested in Brian Robinson, but at 3,400, if we need salary relief, at least he's in play. Demarcus Robinson, we saw his snap count. 4 targets a couple weeks ago. At 3K, if we get in a situation where we need the salary, he would be in play. Now, Jatavian Sanders, look at these last couple weeks, 5 targets and 4 targets. We see the matchup against San Francisco. San Francisco is giving up 16 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. If Jatavian Sanders gets that type of usage and they got that damage to the linebackers of the 49ers and just that overall damage, let's take a look at the injury report real quick. San Francisco 49ers. Let's see. So we're looking at Tatum Bethune is out. Fred Warner obviously on IR. So they're getting down to their third string middle linebacker there. Then we got Robert Beal, doubtful. Trey Tomlinson, one of their cornerbacks, is out. We got Luke Gifford, questionable. So a lot of damage to the defense here of the 49ers, but the ones that are significant here are Bethune and Fred Warner. I'd like to see some safety damage for our Jatavian Sanders matchup, but I do like that the 49ers are giving up that many points to the tight end position. When they had Fred Warner, they were one of the better teams versus defending the tight end position. So Jatavian Sanders could be a sneaky play for us at 2,800. Tommy Tremble and Matt Evans or Mitchell Evans, like I said, he got 2 targets. Tremble had 2 targets. It looks like Jatavian Sanders is the primary guy, and he was starting to take off a little bit last year until he got hurt. If you remember watching the show, I was recommending him every once in a while, and he had a couple big weeks for us. And Tremaine, I think, was that other guy that we saw getting the snap counts. He's at 1,200 now, though. He got 2 targets last week. Hunter Renfrow, last time he played was week 6. Trevor Etienne, not really doing too much. So I think that's about it for guys I would be interested in. So let's go ahead and start with this build. Reminder, get me to 70 likes. I'm going to put the favorite plays and the insights on sportnuggets.com. When we hit that 70 like mark, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You're going to want to be subscribed because all during Thanksgiving, I'm going to be doing some content throughout the week. So you're going to want to keep track of when that goes live, and you got to hit the alert button over on YouTube after you subscribe in order to do that and help me get to 2,300 subscribers over there. So for captain option, I think for our chalky build, I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to go with George Kittle. As far as the weak spots, I want to get Tet McMillan. I think he's just got like a good floor in this one. If I wanted to go with one of these quarterbacks, I'd want to go Purdy. That kind of bangs us up with our salary. So maybe I go Bryce Young instead. McCaffrey signifies maybe the lead for the 49ers, playing with a decent lead. They don't need to throw as much. Let's put Jatavian Sanders in there. It's going to leave us with 1,400. Gives us options like Tremaine. We could take a flyer on. Horn's just not getting any active usage. Juszczyk might be the sneaky guy here to go with. We see him get targets every once in a while. Couple targets a game, but he could sneak in for a touchdown at 1,400 or a guy like that. But, anytime you put one of these expensive captains in the captain spot, it's very difficult to try to build around. So, that kind of gives you an idea there. If we swap out Kittle in the captain and we put McCaffrey in there too, those guys are probably going to be pretty good core options. We got Tet McMillan, Bryce Young. Yeah, Bryce Young. I think I prefer Bryce Young over Purdy this week, just given the matchup for Carolina and what San Francisco's been giving up points wise. If I had to choose between one of those quarterbacks, I think Bryce Young would be my pick. So I got Sanders in there. Leaves me with 3,300. And in that situation, I don't want to put two tight ends in there. I'd probably go DeMarcus Robinson or something like that. But, that gives us some pretty good options there. Let's see. Those are the main guys that I like for captain right now. I want to see what the ownership tells us. Ownership, a lot of times, if it comes in low on a player that I kind of like, I can build a case for that player. But let's clear this out. Let's put Tet McMillan in the captain. Let's get McCaffrey, Kittle. Let's get Bryce Young in there again. Leaves us with 2,800. I'm going to go. I think my default guy down here right now is Jatavian Sanders. Leaves me with 2,900. Kind of that same spot. It's kind of a no man's land. It's going to be hard to get away from that. Unless you do something like fade McCaffrey. But, that's going to be tough to do just based on what we know he's capable of and the fact that he's probably got the better matchup on the slate for the 49ers side. So, going to be a little bit tricky. If we wanted to, do something a little bit crazier, I don't know that, I would want to do it, but if we put Sanders in that captain spot, let's put Sanders in there. Let's put McCaffrey. Let's see what we can get with that. We can put in McMillan, Bryce Young. Let's get Kittle in there. And then that leaves us with 6,200. So that at least leaves us in Ryan Fitzgerald range. If I wanted to put in Fitzgerald, leaves me with 1,400. So I could upgrade somewhere. I could try taking out Sanders and putting in Kittle in the captain. Leaves me with 1,300. Yeah, not nothing great there. It's just kind of in that same situation. But that should give you guys at least a little bit of thinking on the builds this week. I kind of the players that I kind of like. I'll do write-ups on when we get closer to lock. I want to do a little bit more research before I feel completely comfortable with these plays. But make sure to hit that like button. Give me the 70 likes. Go sign up for an account over at SportNuggets.com. Really easy to do. Really easy site to use. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I'll have the site the video up here too. Like I said, I want you guys to be engaged. So go over to the game, filter out the game, and take a look at some of these nuggets and write some comments in there. You can favorite a player or a nugget that you like so you can come back to it later. All sorts of things that you can do to engage with the site. Also, ignore this trending section for now. Basically, this trending section, we have to build an average for these players on the type of news that they're getting, the flow of news that they're getting before this thing's going to function properly. So, just ignore trending for now. You can actually close the tab by pressing that button. If you see on the side here, you see this little pointer. You can press that, get rid of the trending section. You can also turn it into night setting. So you can dark mode. You can set it into dark mode if you like this look better. But anytime that you want to reset your search, just hit the Sport Nuggets button up at the top, and you'll just play around with it, have fun with it, and try to go down some rabbit holes on some of these Thanksgiving matchups when that goes live for the schedule. But right now, San Francisco, Carolina is going to be our focus, and let's go nuts with some of the breakdowns of what you guys think are going to be significant nuggets, and let's try to get those nuggets going, because the rating that we have here is going to be affected by user engagement. Right now, a neutral setting is at 3. 3 nuggets is neutral. So, when we have important nuggets, those can get bumped up, or nuggets that are getting a lot of engagement get bumped up. Nuggets that are getting a lot of negative feedback go down. It's an AI site. Like we have a lot of AI summaries on here, so some of them can come through a little bit wonky. Some of them are pretty funny, like with Aaron Rodgers, gave the middle finger and somebody tweeted about it. Like the AI didn't know how to interpret it, and they ended up putting something pretty funny for it. But just a fun site to play around on. If you're a news junkie like I am, or a nugget junkie like I am, you can spend hours doing this. When you go to the source, you can call up the source as well. Click on the source and see exactly where the headline is analyzing. You can go to, if you want to take a look at only podcasts, you can sort it by podcasts. We got a bug right now where it's not taking it direct to the spot in the podcast where the mention is, but we're gonna fix that. But when you click on that, you should be able to go jump right to where the exact bite came from. Same with the YouTube aspect, but like I said, we're working through a couple bugs on the site still, but yeah, play around with it. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. It's been a long time coming with the site. Wanted to have it up by the beginning of the season, but we kept thinking of different features to add to it, and we kept just developing it and making it better. And now we got it to a point where we wanted to present it to you guys so we can get your feedback on it too. So do me a favor, sign up for an account over there, and that's where you'll find the insights once we get closer to lock and we hit that 70 likes. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you with an underdog video.